All right, welcome back, everybody, to Off the Grid on the Record, the podcast where we bring you natural conversations with the innovators reshaping clean energy from the ground up. I'm your host, Yarek, tuning in from Erin, Ontario, and today we're diving into a pretty unique but pretty booming corner of the renewable space, solar for RVs and off-grid adventure living. And who better to join us than Kenson, founder of Monument Solar, the Utah-based company building some of the largest RV solar systems on the market. Monument isn't just about panels, they're empowering people to travel freely, live off the grid, and take their energy independence with them wherever they go. So Kenson, thanks for joining us. I know that there's some craziness happening in the background there, but where are you calling from today?
We're actually in southern Utah, just outside of the Zion National Park, if you're familiar with that area. So about 2.5 hours northeast of like Las Vegas. Kind of puts us on the map in that regard. So.
Fair enough, not bad. I'm sure there's quite a bit of excitement in like the RV world there. My parents actually just went to Texas, and I can't remember exactly where they stayed, but I know that there's a huge community there for RVs, and I'm sure that you guys are tapping into some great stuff with the solar implementation.
Yeah, we've when we were trying to decide where to put our facility, we were. I guess a little bit of background. We started doing this just on location where we'd go and someone they'd want something installed, and we'd go to their location, we'd do the installation, and it was terribly impractical. I mean, you had to deal with weather issues, whether it be wind, intense sun, rain, pretty much any weather condition just was not great. So. And then in coordinating inventory and shipping and all that stuff. And so we recognized that we needed to actually have some kind of facility to work out of. And when we looked at the southern Utah Zion area, we realized that it would allow us to operate year-round. The weather was accommodated for that. And then it also, Zion National Park is like the most visited national park in the entire United States, I think. I mean, they're getting like 18,000 visitors a day in peak season. And so it's like people know about it, and they like to come here anyway. So they're like, oh, we live out in North, somewhere like or New York or something like that. And they're like, we don't mind going out to Zion. I'm like, really? Because that's a long drive. And they're like, no, we do this for fun. We drive everywhere. So anyway, that's kind of why we put ourselves here, and it's turned out to be really, really awesome. It's people are able to come visit, get the work done. It takes us about a week, and then they go play at Zion or Bryce Canyon or some of these other beautiful areas in the air, like close by. So
That's amazing, and you kind of tapped into it, but Monument Solar specializes in off-grid RV solar systems. And you talked about kind of where you guys are, but where did that start? Where did this kind of niche come about, and what made you focus on, mobile solar rather than residential or even utility scale?
So that is a great question. It will take a little bit to walk through this, but back right before they started hiking the interest rates up, my wife and I, we decided to sell our home, and so we liquidated. We're like, you know what, we weren't sure, we weren't comfortable buying back in at the time. We felt like prices were too high, and we were like, let's just let the market settle for a bit, let's rent or do something otherwise until we kind of see what the market's true colors were. And we looked at this option, we're like, this is about the same cost as renting. If we buy an RV, we get a truck, we kind of get it all outfitted, and we go on the road, like the numbers worked out to where it was pretty hand in hand the same either way. So we're like, well, heck, why not? Let's go on this adventure, right? We had 4 little kids at the time too, so we just were like, let's homeschool them, let's get on the road, let's go give them an experience they'll never be able to have otherwise. And we just had a ball. Absolutely had the greatest time. We put like 30,000 miles in a year on this thing, just going all over the place in the country. And but one of the caveats my wife gave me, we were very naive and new to RVing, and one of the things that surprised us is we go to this RV dealership, and there's this fifth wheel that we liked, and we're like, this is really cool. And they started explaining the process and things, and I started realizing, I'm like, well, what's this whole plug into shore thing? And they're like, oh, yeah, if you want to use your air conditioners, or they named off like all these wonderful features of this RV, like you had to be plugged in. And I'm like I don't.
What?
I want to be I want to be on the beach, I want to be like, in the mountains, on the lake. I want to be like at the dunes, or like I want to be at these locations. I don't particularly want to be parked 12 feet away from somebody else who I don't know from Adam, and I have 4 children. It's like, no, that's not what I'm after. And so my wife was like, I'm happy to do this adventure, but I want to be able to run my air conditioners anywhere we go. As though she's like, I don't want to be at a park either. I want to be lakeside. I want to go have my adventure. And so I started calling around, and I actually had I won't name the very popular RV dealership that is, probably everyone would recognize, but I explained what I wanted to do, and they kind of just laughed at me. And he's like, that's not even possible. Don't even, I think you may want to sell me something else. And I'm like, no, I've done the math. I know the solution. Like, it's possible, And so I took it as a challenge to kind of prove him wrong to some sense. And to appease my wife, I was like, all right, if I want to run my ACs, this is the kind of wattage I need on that roof. And I started just, building this thing from scrap, using stuff I could MacGyver together, with Amazon and whatever. And that was actually ended up being in prototype number 1.
Wow.
It was probably 90% of the design that we have today, but we're on probably revision 5 or 6 now of our design. And that first design that I MacGyvered all together, it lasted about 8,000 miles before things started to like fall apart and break. And I looked at it and I'm like, shoot, like it posed these problems that I hadn't foreseen beforehand, right? And getting it out on the road, testing it, and putting it in a real world circumstances and environment, it helped me understand, like, if I'm going to build something like this, it's got to be super robust. And so we went back to the drawing boards, and actually we also, getting this out on the road helped us validate the demand for this product. Every gas station, every campground, everywhere we stopped, someone would stop and be like, what is this? And I'm like, oh, I made it. And they're like, you need to bring that to market because I want to buy it. Like, they were literally, I heard that multiple times. And so I was like, all right, let's go figure this out. And so we did all the CAD work and design work. We fully built the system in the computer first, and then we're sending it off to fabricators to fabricate the components. It's all, it's like, it was kind of a fun project to go through. And we took that design on the road as well. So we redid the system. We took off the crap components and put on our more robust stuff, and it became just bulletproof. Well, let me put a caveat. I don't want to say it was bulletproof, because then someone's going to take a gun and shoot it. It's like, it's not bulletproof. You said it was. That's not what I'm saying. But it's like, when we were doing the design work, and as we were making decisions on how many bolts to put in this thing, how many brackets do we need, what kind of material of aluminum do we want to use, what the thickness do we want to have, we kept in mind the thought of, if this rig were to go 200,000 miles on the road, let's say that RV actually held up long enough to do that, like, what would we need to do to design for that end purpose? And
Exactly.
so far, it's proven to be a really robust platform and system for that. So that, I think, answers your questions. Was there one that I missed in there? I think that's kind of how it all started. So
I think you got it all. But no, one thing I noticed is like the adjustability as well. Not only are they very like robust, and like they can handle quite like the beating, they're pretty durable. One thing I noticed is like the adjustability. Like I said, like, can you talk about the impact of tilt adjustable racking on performance and just basic usability?
Oh, for sure, yeah. So here's just as a caveat, Up until this point, people could not put enough solar on their roofs to really do dilly squat. I mean, on my 45-foot long fifth wheel, when I was getting it quoted out by other installers, before I decided to do it myself, they were quoting me out 2,500 watts, maybe 3,000, and that was like taking every little possible square inch, playing Tetris on the roof where they're just putting panels all over which way, right? And that's not enough. I mean, and in those situations, if you have only a limited amount of solar, yeah, you're going to want to get up there and tilt the panels to really just get every little bit you can out of it, right? And so we've seen a number of designs of like little contraptions that'll tilt to the sun and trace and follow, and you're spending copious amounts of money to have that functionality. And I'm like, that's cool. We're actually also in the process of developing a fully automated tilting system for our system. It only goes left and right, passenger and driver side kind of thing. But there are some challenges in doing that push button automation. On our side, it's the physics of taking a panel and tilting it 90 degrees one way and then 90 degrees the other way. There's some engineering struggles that we have to figure out. And then once we've figured out a solution, but then it's like, how do you make sure that design is just as strong or stronger than the original structure system? So that's the first part of the question is we are working on that aspect of it. It'll be an upgrade that we hope to offer to everybody down the road. But the real functional reality is when you have 5,500 watts on your roof base and they're bifacials, you're getting up to like 6,300 watts pouring into this coach during peak hours, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And when you have that and a good size, a decent sized battery on board, like it's going to be hard for you to really consume all that power. I mean, if you want to blaze like 3 air conditioners 24/7, you're going to blow through that power just lickety split. But at the same time, it's like our customers, I thought they'd be really like more interested, like getting up there and tilting panels and stuff. And it turns out that that's just kind of a side benefit. The people are out there using it. They're telling me, they're like, I haven't gone up there to tilt because I have a surplus of power. During the daytime, they're able to run 2 air conditioners and still charge their batteries a little bit, right? So it's been pretty adequate for what it is, just with the panels flat. And then but if you do end up having to like swap an air conditioner out or whatever it might be, folds up, you can get in there and do their thing. If you are going to park somewhere, like for example, let's say you're at some RV park and you're paying for power, right? And you're going to be there for 3 months, like through the winter season, and the sun's low in the sky. Yeah, in that situation, yeah, face the door of your RV to the south, tilt the panels on one, tilt up like that, and take as much power as you want, because you're probably paying for power at that point anyway at the RV park, and it'd take care of you pretty good. Our system's interesting. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I kind of want to talk about the power itself before we both get too excited. But
oh yeah, I'm not excited at all. Right? That's, I get really into all this fun stuff when I talk about it. So sorry.
As you should. But no, these systems are running microwaves, ACs, and like TVs even. How do you like really ensure the reliability when people are pretty far off the grid?
That's a great question. So let me just kind of, on our side, we are willing to work with you. If you have a certain brand of electronic backend and batteries you want to use, we'll do our best to accommodate to incorporate that into your design and your end system. We have a lot of customers who come in and they have their own inverters already done and batteries and whatever. And it's like, okay, cool, let's finish the system out, make it properly fused and everything, and make it good to go. But when it comes to somebody coming to us and saying, what would you recommend, right? We default over to Victron. And let me just kind of tell you a little bit about that brand and that company. So I actually lived in the Netherlands for 2 years. I'm fluent in speaking Dutch. I know the Dutch culture extremely well. I was really immersed in it for the time I was over there. And Victron is a Dutch company. They are, and the quality of engineering that they put into their products is world class. Victron originally was designed for the maritime industry. So you're on a sailboat and you're 300 miles away in the middle of the ocean in a saltwater environment, and they design their products to, operate in said environment, right? Which is kind of an engineering feat when it comes to these electronics and higher voltages and whatever it might be. You got the corrosion and all these issues, but that's what's going into these Victron components and products. And the RV industry kind of started adopting them, and that's what we use. So when you have a Victron proper system, you have these inverters that are meant to be in a mobile environment, in saltwater environments. So like any road conditions, like it's not a it can handle what you might experience by traveling on the road, kind of thing. I don't recommend bolting it to the bottom of your coach, right? Like we put it in somewhere safe inside and it's out of the weather and everything, but that's the quality and standard that they bring to the table. So that's what we offer and use primarily. Another cool thing about that those components is once that system is in place, it's fully connected to your phone. You can operate your inverters, you can do everything, you can see all the performance, very detailed data, and displays that it's all accessible via your phone, via Bluetooth. And then if you connect it to the internet, like if you have a Starlink or whatever, and you have a problem down the road, you call me and we log into your remote portal. We can see everything and we can diagnose and repair it from my computer in my front living room, and you're out in North Dakota or whatever, wherever you're at, like we can get in there and see what's wrong and fix it for the most part. And so that's kind of what kind of a long-winded answer to what components we use and how we incorporate it and what we recommend in that regard.
It's amazing. You kind of touched on it as well, and I think a huge selling point is the 555 warranty and service promise, which I guess kind of feeds into what you're saying. So I guess my question is, what does that look like in practice for customers? Because, you obviously need to have that reliability and that almost that reassurance when, you're going somewhere, it's pretty remote, and you need to, get in contact, something breaks down or, something's not working how it should be. So yeah, give us a bit of a breakdown on the 555 warranty and service.
That's a great question. I'm happy to do so. The 555 warranty and service package did a lot of things for us. One of the complaints that I had when I was calling around to people getting quotes for systems, and I've heard plenty of horror stories from people who've gotten these systems done, and from my perspective, I look at it and like these vendors didn't sell them on a system that was really adequate for what they were doing. And not that, like, and when I look at it, I'm like, man, you just sold them a system that made you more money, right? It's not the most efficient. It's not going to work the best for them on the road. And I hear a lot of those things. And then another one was like, I'll never forget this guy saying it. He's like, yeah, we built the system out, and so you'll never have to hear from me again, blah, 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 blah. And like pitching as though it's like, one and done kind of thing in his mind. And I sat there and I'm like, that really doesn't make me feel happy working with you, because it's like, I want to be able to be like, hey, this happened, call you, and then you answer your phone and we fix it. We make it happen, right? Exactly. And so having started this business after going through that whole process myself, I realized that the end consumers they want to be able to get a system that's going to be robust, practical, efficient. It's good for them. It's going to have a good resale value, all these things. And if there is ever an issue, they need to be able to have someone to turn to that will help them out. And so we kind of branded that whole mindset into this 555 warranty and service package. And what it is for 5 years, all of our components, all the racking system components, are covered 100%. So now there are some, if you decide to run the thing into a bridge, that does void the warranty. I can't build the thing to where it's gonna to last on that. But in essence, how we structured it is, it's like the system should hold itself, all the components for 5 years. Not a problem. If we have us do the installation, we cover the installation of said system for 5 years. And when I'm saying system, I'm talking about the racking system. The solar panels, the inverters, all that, they come with their own warranties. And if there's something that happens on the installation of those, we also cover that. And then for 5 years, we also have an annual inspection that we offer. And in essence, what it is you bring it to us or one of our authorized dealers or resellers, and we'll get up there, we'll inspect the waterproofing, we'll re-waterproof the roof as needed. We will make sure that all the components are there's no loosening up things, and if there's a component that needs to be swapped out, we'll take care of that. And what it does for us is, this being a new product to the market, there's going to be things, we're still going to be things that we're going to learn to make it more and more robust and strong. And we're only going to know that if we have a chance to inspect things. So what we did is we said, okay, if we can do an inspection on it, or if you're willing to get up on the roof yourself as the owner and do the inspection, check everything, make sure everything's still tight and not loosening up, we will then guarantee that for another year, for a total of 5 years, kind of thing.
Wow.
And the thought there is, it's like, it gives us a chance to be like, oh, hey, this part of the design is wearing more heavily than these other ones, and we need to find a solution to fix that. That's already happened a few times for us as we've looked at inspected our own systems and things on the road and all that. So we're keeping that innovative mindset as we build out our as we start selling these things. We want to keep that innovation mindset in place to make sure that these systems are strong and they can hit that 200,000 mile mark. One other thing I just want to mention about this: if you have a solar system that you're looking at, let's say you're out there about to buy an RV and you're thinking about buying an RV that has one of my solar systems on it, okay? And the owner turns to you and says, we've had our fun adventure, it's been amazing, we've had no issues. Oh, and by the way, this whole solar system has another 3 years of warranty on it. What does that do to you as the buyer and you're wanting to buy this RV with a solar system? I mean,
No, exactly.
the perceived values. Yeah, the perceived values through the roof, right? And the resellability of your coach and the system is very strong. And so our customers are investing $30,000 to $65,000 on a setup, fully outfitted with batteries, inverters, it's racking and solar install. I mean, it's an investment, and we want to make it so that when they turn around and sell it, like, they're getting their money back, if not making money on it, is what we're trying to do. To give you an idea, just for points of conversation here,
Sure.
I spoke with this guy who had 4,000 watts on his roof, just bolted to the roof, right? No racking system, no bifacial panels, just bolted to his roof, 4,000 watts. He had the Victron back end, two 5,000 watt inverters, similar to what we do. And he had a lithium battery bank, about a 25 kilowatt battery bank. His RV appraised for $85,000, just the way it was without the solar. He sold it for $135,000.
Wow.
That's a
That's
$50,000 premium And you might ask like, what happened there? And it's like, it's turnkey. There's been no issues.
Exactly.
The guy buys it. He can go on this vacation with his motorcycle in the back the next weekend. People pay it. People are willing to do that. And that's what we want to make sure happens every time. Like if you go turn it into the dealership, probably won't get that. But if you sell it third party, I mean, that's what I've heard that same kind of story multiple times from people that have done these systems before. And so I can't guarantee that, but we want to do everything we can on our side to make it so that when you're done with your adventures and you turn to sell the system and the rig and everything, that you get your money back and you can then do it on your next rig kind of thing. So
That's a great thing to mention. I love that. Honestly, it is. Things are worth what people are willing to pay for them, and I think that's a great testament to that. And kind of leads into my next thing is, you have a very well-defined niche. So how do people find you? Is it trade shows, online search, referrals, or we talked a bit before, and you're saying that you're thinking of, getting some ads out there. What's driving that, and what's currently working?
So when it comes to our business, it's a very unique thing. I'm not starting up a McDonald's franchise that has a very predictable, outcomes. Like you invest this much money and it happens, right? If you think about what we're doing right now, we have introduced a brand new product, being the racking system, in a brand new. We kind of invented the industry of, suspended rooftop solar, I guess. And so it's like, we're inventing a lot. Like in terms of like trailblazing, like we trailblaze the product, we trailblaze the industry, and we're now upsetting the rest of the industry. Like we're changing the paradigm of what people are, typically used to doing. And that has been very unique. But in terms of getting awareness out there, when we first started this company and we started doing this, those who chose to work with us, I hate to say it like this, and they knew it, they were the early adopters. I call those guinea pigs, right? They wanted to be the first ones to have it, and they were okay with, working with us and, helping us through it. And a lot of them were very successful professionals who had owned businesses, and it was kind of fun. They'd often be like, "Oh, it's just, don't you remember when we were like this too, honey?" And like they talking about me like stressing out like in this building this company, and they're like, "Oh, it's so adorable. Let's help these guys out." And I'm like, "Thank you," and but it's that's who were the kind of first people out there. And what that did for us is it allowed us to kind of prove to ourselves and verify the process of installations and get things all dialed in really well. And it allowed us to validate with, we get the marketing pictures and things, and we collected all that, right? Now that we've done that, we can then showcase it. People as a consumer, if they start seeing something as probably like 95% of the market does not want to be a guinea pig, right? They don't. 95% of the market wants to be, I want to go buy this at the store. It's a proven product. I just know it's going to work and whatever. And we're in that point right now where we're transitioning from guinea pig into standardized product. That's the stage we are at in our branding of our company. And with that, up until this point, we've relied solely on some review videos done by some our like RV YouTubers and things like that, right? They come in and they're like, "This is an amazing product, and can I do a video on it?" I'm like, "Please do, that'd be great." And so that's what we've really fueled our growth to this point. But we've started now pushing out just more paid, picture marketing, where we kind of just expose the market more fully to, hey, here's this picture of this RV in the system, and it kind of sells itself. It's like, hey, look at this cool thing, and then they click on it and they can come look at our website. We're starting to do more of that. Webinars like this, kind of just driving awareness around what we're doing. And what's really cool about our product is we don't have to sell it. Like,
Exactly.
we just explain it, and they get it, and they go, yeah, this is what I've been waiting for. And so that's kind of where we've gotten to this point. But yeah, that's kind of what we've been doing, is trying to create awareness and get the branding out there. And there's going to be more that we're going to do. We're wanting to be conscious on how we approach the market, because it's a product that's changing things up really in a lot of ways, both the consumer and also like the retail side of things, and also commercial. And we wanted to execute in a way that's going to, work for the long haul. So it's an interesting challenge to take on.
Of course. No, that's great. And I like to ask this question kind of after like the vision is, fully established. But if we check back in with, Monument Solar in 5 years, what will look different? Is there more partnerships, more product lines? What is it? What's evolving? What's going to be changing? What are you, I guess, striving for in the next 5 years?
Dude, you guys, whoever's listening to this guy asks good questions for a podcast. I just want to put that out there. Like, each one of these, I'm like, dang, that's a good question. I didn't think about that, but yeah, it'd be cool, It's funny that people are like, what do you want to talk about on the webinar? I'm like, I don't know. Like, what do you want to talk about? But these have been great questions, and I see the value in being able to speak to these. So, our vision, if we take a 5-year approach, right? What I see in the market happening is a few different things. Housing affordability. Okay, we have a generation of people here who have been now waiting for 3 to 5 years. I'm one of them, right? I exited the market when it was hot, right as the interest rates were going up, and right now I could go. I'm renting. I've got a home that I'm renting with my family, kind of just filling things out as we kind of start this business and everything. And I've looked into buying. If I buy a home that's equivalent to what I'm renting in right now, my out-the-door expense more than doubles, right? And it's just the market right now. It's like there's enough demand, and yet there's not the income to sustain things. So we're kind of in this weird rural, everyone locked in these low rates when they refinanced down to the lower interest rates, and it's creating this market where it's people want to buy a home and they can't. So
Exactly.
what are the options? Rent forever, or live with grandma and grandpa, or and so we've seen a lot of people transitioning out of brick and mortar and living in these beautiful RVs. And they come to us and say, we want to be free. We don't want to be tied to some pedestal and at some park. Like, we want to have the option to take 15 days on some BLM land in beautiful Utah or Oregon or California, whatever, and have that adventure and that ability, right? And for the first time in history of the world, without a generator, like, it's feasible, right?
Exactly. It's possible now.
Yeah, and so my thinking is that's going to just continue to grow. There's going to be those who have a home and they're locked into these really low interest rates, and they don't want to leave. They're like, if I sell, I'm done, or whatever. Some of those will decide, hey, I'm going to sell and I'm going to jump into this remote life. There'll be a few of those. And then there's going to be a lot of people who are like, I'm sick of renting. This is dumb. I could buy this RV and live the life kind of thing. And then there's going to be that more and more of that influx of people moving that direction. So that's what I'm seeing. Now, in terms of our company gearing for that, we are wanting to build out a network of facilities across the country that this will just be the one of them. But Texas, all through over to Florida, down Atlanta, California, and we've already started building out some of these partnerships. But I envision this being both a combination of in-house, like I have full control over these facilities, and we have 10 of those cross country, and then we have another 100 authorized installers or resellers of our product across country as well. that we all work in partnership. Now, in terms of, we've been talking primarily on the solar RV side of things, right? Which is a big market for sure. But there are also commercial applications, particularly with like more the forestry firefighting side of things, to oil field remote working, to office like on-site job units, to you name it. There's a lot of need for these off-grid non-diesel generator solutions. And
Exactly.
what we're doing is these are people coming in with, they want 1,000 units, right? Like, hey, can you fulfill on this 1,000 unit order? And right now my answer is it'll take me 3 years, right? But we could probably make it happen, right? Whereas if I have 10 facilities across the country with a given capacity plus another network of 100 other facilities across the country, and I can turn to those people and say, I've got 3 months of work for everybody. Let's make this happen.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I can crank out some larger sales and fulfill for other issues. One thing that we're actually building a solution for is Asheville, Tennessee. The hurricane comes through, decimates the country, decimates the area. Utilities are out, communications out, and time's ticking until people start dying, right? And
Exactly.
what do? What's the solution? Like, these people, I mean, it gets ugly, and it's a depressing thing. Like, people want to help. Well, how do you do it? Well, what we're developing right now is these mobile units that would be brought in either like on a Connex box side of things or like a mobile trailer, where you bring 10 of these guys in, you fold it out. Each unit has like 8,000 watts of power plus a solid battery bank, and one's outfitted for water purification, one's outfitted for cold food storage, another one's outfitted for, hey, you might want to shower. Let's let you have some decency and take a shower, or you like, just think of these like very core basic things that we take advantage of every single day. If all those things are taken away in a society, it's hard. It's depressing. It takes the morale out. And if you get it, here's like, you send in 10 of these units, hook it all up, and it becomes a community hub where it's like, hey, everybody come together here. Let's unify as a group. We have all the things that we need to survive: communication, food, preservation, water purification, water sanitation, to safe housing, whatever it might be. And it's you can drop it there in a weekend. It's there in a offshore warehouse somewhere close by, just in case. And it's like, okay, here it happened. Deliver it. Done. It's there, ready to go. That's what's going to be needed, right? And so we're gearing for those kind of natural disasters and events as well. We're developing a solution specific for that purpose. So that's the side thing. So we have the retail side, but that's also kind of funding this commercial side that's going to be there to really help in those times of need and make a solution that's going to help people.
That's fantastic. I love it. I love the ambition. I love the vision. I think a lot of the people listening to are really appreciating that. You're in a certain zone where, yes, you have to start, yes, you have to grow from a certain position, but already having that much foresight is phenomenal. So, and I think that's a great way to kind of wrap up. So I appreciate it so much, Kenson, for
No worries,
coming
man.
on. And yeah, that's a wrap on this episode of Off the Grid on the Record. Huge thank you to Kenson again from Monument Solar for sharing his journey, insights, and some pretty inspiring ideas about solar mobility and energy freedom. If you're interested in checking out their systems or learning more, head to monument-solar.com or hit the show notes for all the links. Until next time, everybody, stay connected, stay mobile, and stay off the grid on the record. Thanks, Kenson, again, and we'll take care, everybody.
All right. Thank you so much.